Hi, I'm Rob Price. Join me as I speak with pioneering founders and leaders of businesses in AI and Gen AI that are revolutionizing our world. Welcome to Futurise.
So I'm Anna Bulak. I'm head of ethics and partnerships at Respeecher. It's a Emmy Award-winning voice cloning technology company, and I'm also a member of AI committee at the Ministry of Digital Transformation. So briefly about my background, it's around 10 years in security and defense policies, and then I transitioned to technologies. In the beginning, building technology to counter online disinformation. And then I transitioned to generative AI, synthetic media at that time, as terminologies change all the time. And it's already my second company where I'm building trust and safety policies inside of a company to mitigate abuse of synthetic media and building public policies and industry initiatives.
Today we're going to talk about Respeecher, which is kind of that second business. So why don't you tell everyone what Respeecher does and how you use that AI technology to differentiate yourself from others out there?
Respeecher is really unique company, I would say, because ethics is a cornerstone of synthetic voice of this company. As I said earlier, I'm a head of ethics and partnerships. So Respeecher is a voice cloning technology that allows any person to speak in any other person's voice. What it means is to take, for example, from 2 to 30 minutes of voice recording of another person with permission, and then you can drive that voice with your performance. So it's called a speech-to-speech. It's different from text-to-speech because text-to-speech is an input, is a text, and you will have an output less emotional, less natural. You won't control performance. So that's a major difference between speech-to-speech and text-to-speech. The major projects of Respeecher are Luke Skywalker's voice, Darth Vader's voice, Nixon's voice, for which we received Emmy Award. And those are B2B big projects direction. But we also have democratization of technology track. It means that we have a voice marketplace with 100 plus voices, female, male, kids' voices of different age and animals. So you can voice over a small digital creation like indie movie, documentary using just one voice and one performance. And for voice actors, it's about scaling their projects and where they can participate, not just to be attached to their voice identity, but to be more attached to their performance skills.
And I've seen that over the last week where we've been producing AI generated videos with our voices. And of course, kind of using that enables you to produce more content faster and more variably. So I can see the business use. But for those people listening now, whether they're individual at home or a business or an entrepreneur, what would be your pitch to each of them as to why they should be interested in the technology and the products that you are providing?
Look, there are two separate directions. Of course, for actors, it's insurance if they are on set and they get sick or they cannot participate in post-production. So voice cloning can be used to not to limit the scope of the time that they spend on one project. So then voice cloning can be used and other voice actors can be participating in the job. That is a big projects, of course. For smaller creators, let's say an example that you want to voice over your audiobook, but you don't want to spend a lot of time in a studio, and your voice can be reproduced, and another voice actor can be creating educational content for you, or reproducing that audiobook. So there are many examples for that. It's also that we have reached that capability of real time, that in real time you can convert in someone else's voice. So those educational materials can be also transmitted to via Zoom with low latency. It also can be used in calls and in real time educational materials. So I would say in entertainment, educational direction, there are a huge amount of use cases. But what's interesting is that we expanded also to healthcare and cybersecurity. And in healthcare, what we do is that those people that have lost their voice, or their voice being like undermined after a voice box removal due to neck cancer, it's called laryngectomy. And after the operation, they have most likely robotic sounding voice, and we can convert it into natural sounding voice. And another direction is cybersecurity, because we understand that voice is biometric data, and it allows, and many companies, many enterprises right now provide that feature of voice access to the accounts. So what we provide is penetration testing, is testing how synthetic voices can surpass that security systems, and also social engineering, because there are a lot of companies and enterprises that have a lot of people, and they can trust any call that they receive potentially from the CEO of a high top manager. And what we provide is that in isolated environment, we can clone top management voice with permission and run the test and re-educate those employees to create a new code of conduct inside of a company.
It's like another level of security awareness test that we would have done in the past with phishing emails, for example, but to detect kind of how that would people would react to it, and also I guess kind of things like what the equivalent is of a watermark for a voice in that sense. Now, you've touched there on important subjects that are bringing AI ethics into kind of the space. So tell me a bit more about how you ensure that the products that you provide are consistent in terms of ethical use of technology, which of course is a perfect question for you in your role as head of AI ethics.
As I mentioned in my previous response, that Respeecher is quite a unique company, that ethics is a cornerstone of its business model. And what we've done with that, we've created ourselves best practices in industry, because we exist already from 2018. And what we've suggested how to protect likeness of people, individuals whose voices we are cloning, is to sign a contract with them to require permission to clone that voice. It means that you as a person, you own your voice, and also you own your AI copy of your voice. It means that we as a service, we don't hold rights over your AI voice. And the interesting part is when the person is deceased. So we require permission from family members, estate holders, and copyright owners. It can depend on every industry, because copyright, any studio can have it with actors. But majorly, we always require family approve. And that's quite, I would say, the baseline. Then there goes another level, is a context, because receiving a permission, it does not provide the full, I would say, confidence in delivering the project. So what I'm doing is quite often reviewing the context where this voice, even with permission, will be used. Because if the person is deceased and I'm reading the scripts, I'm looking, okay, this person was a famous person, and how do we represent he or her in this particular project? And we have a big ratio of refusal because what we are trying to do is to safeguard this perception of novel technology.
Yeah.
And it's also a competitive advantage when I would not say that we're moving slowly. I would say that we are setting a high bar standard for entering this hyper real voice cloning because that's something that we are focusing on. And it also opens for us doors to work with the most trusted partners and high-end partners. On the side of B2C, that is democratization of technology, when anyone can register on our voice marketplace and start converting into others people's voices with permissions that we have a moderation in place. And it's interesting, it's quite unique for a tool, not a social platform to have a moderation in place, but we do moderate. We moderate the sexual content, harassment, abuse, potentially fraudulent content. And we have 2 layers of moderation. It's automatic flagging and then human moderation to understand the context. Because voice, it's highly interesting direction because intonation and how you send this message, right? How you package it with your intonation. It's quite different when you're just reading a text. That's why we have 2 layers of moderation. And the third direction is, of course, data governance. So when we receive data from our clients to recreate their voice, we don't use that data to train our base model. So the base model, how it's different from AI voice model, is that we have a core technology that's our, I would say, main engine, right? And we train it on copyrighted audio files. And then when we receive audio files from our clients and we put it in a contract that we receive them just to replicate the voice, and we delete those data, that data after the project is delivered, that is strictly put in a contract. So I would say those 3 layers, permission, context and moderation, and data governance are the core pillars for this direction.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now, we've talked before about the work you've been doing in AI ethics, and of course, you're in Ukraine delivering high profile services, as you mentioned, to the film industry in Hollywood and beyond. I'm sure, in many ways, in the context of what you do, it can't be hard to get people interested working in your organization, so attracting talent. But of course, the other side of that is Ukraine's in a very difficult position at the moment in terms of the impacts that you must be facing every day in terms of the war. So, how have you attracted people to work for your organization? What's your pitch, if you like, to get people working on the product?
Well, that's amazing because actually we grew during the war. We grew in 2.3x times during the war. So our team doubled, and we are hiring, and we are mainly hiring from Ukraine to support our internal economy. And 93% of company employees are in Ukraine. So right now I'm speaking from Kiev, but we have our team members from different cities. So daily in office, you would see around like 15, 20 people. Others are working remotely. I just live like 2 minutes from office. That's why I'm quite often in office. And it's quite fascinating how during the war, actually, AI has become quite important direction, not just for the defense industry and a country, but also in just a tech industry and for investors, because first we have good capabilities, human and technological. Second, that we proved that we can deliver under any circumstances. And it's interesting that we delivered Darth Vader's voice from a bomb shelter, and it was covered in Vanity Fair. And nothing stops us. We have developed and we have already executed our contingency plans. We survived the previous winter, so we know how to work and operate with power shutdowns. So we have everything autonomous. So I would say it actually brings us more even positive sides for international clients and investors that we have proved for 1 year and 8 months of the war, of Russian invasion against us, that we can deliver. So I would not say that this actually is something bad happened to us in terms of business. It just proved that we are resilient. The other thing that our technology is also has is its positive externalities to other sectors like military tech, because our CTO has launched another 3 startups helping Ukrainian military using neural networks and sound tracking systems to track drones by sound and their trajectory and speed. But yes, Respeecher is just growing, and our main market is entertainment markets, as together with healthcare and cybersecurity.
And which touches on the final question, which is the vision for Respeecher. So as you look forward over the coming years, and clearly let's hope that that involves a significant improvement for Ukraine in terms of for everybody's day-to-day life. But what's your big vision for Respeecher? What would you hope to achieve?
Well, that's a great question to our C-level, but being also close to the top of a company, I would say from my angle is that we have a great highly ethical advocacy on international level, because we are front runners on the highly ethical voice cloning. And that's amazing that we have built it, being in Ukraine, like functioning in Ukraine, but having a global voice of how voice technology, how ethical voice technology can be used and applied. And meanwhile, while working with top AI list Hollywood actors and studios. And in light of actor strike and writer strike, what we still doing and going to do is to prove that technology is not a barrier, but a companion on this journey, and that we still have to tackle some legal issues that we tackled as a company as best practices. As I mentioned, those permissions and how to protect likeness. And we should not expect that regulation can solve it really fast enough. It's about what we are promoting as a company, that industry players should unite and devote their resources into metadata, watermarking, digital signatures, provenance, everything that can build more trust into AI-generated content. Also build more trust how actors can use it and to scale the projects, not to be pushed out of the jobs. So to look from another perspective to this technology. And I think that's a primary mission of Respeecher, to show how this hyperreal voice cloning can deliver that.
And Anna, I'd just like to say thank you for the conversation that we've had. It's a brilliant point to kind of finish on. I truly believe that the value of AI is to accelerate and augment the things that we're doing as humans. It can help us, it will help us, but it's absolutely right to be focused on the appropriate and ethical ways of adopting that in line with regulation as that continues to evolve. So thank you.
Thank you.